Good morning, students. Today we'll be dealing with stress and adaptation. So, in this session, we'll be seeing stress. We'll start with the definition of stress. According to Sally, in the year 1956, stress is defined as the non specific response of the body to any kind of demand upon it. So, it is the response of the body, but it is a non specific response. And when the body or when our physiological system has any kind of demand, so according to the demand, the body is showing some non specific response, that is stress. And according to Schaffer in the year 2000, it is the arousal of mind and body in response to a demand made upon them. Next, we are going to see about the definition of stressors. So, a stressor is any person or situation that produces anxiety responses. There are different type of stressors like environment stressors, physiological stressors, social stressors, or thought. Environmental stresses like noise, pollution, traffic, crowding, and weather. Physiological stresses like illness, injuries, hormonal fluctuation, inadequate sleep, and nutrition. Social stressors like financial problem, work demands, social event, losing a loved one, or the thought like negative self-talk or perfectionism. Next, we are going to see about the classification of stress. There are two types of stress, that is eustress and distress. Eustress means stress that protects health, or it is a positive stress. Distress means stress that damaging health. We'll see what it is. Eustress, it is considered as a motivating energy, such as purposeful movement or activity, goal-directed, time-bounded task. That is eustress. It is a positive stress because, when you get the examination date or day before exam, you are studying in such a way, or you are stressed in such a way that the goal-directed, time-bounded behavior. Next is distress. It is negative stress. Excessive, prolonged, and unrelieved stress can have a harmful effect on mental, physical, and spiritual health. Next is the definition of adaptation. So, the adaptation refers to a change by which an organism becomes better suited to its environment. So, another term that is related to adaptation, that is homeostasis. The various physiologic mechanism within the body responds to internal changes to maintain relative constancy in the internal environment. That is called homeostasis. So you might be knowing this because we want to maintain a relative internal constancy in the internal environment. So that is known as homeostasis. There are two types of homeostasis: physiologic homeostasis and psychologic homeostasis. So in this session we will be discussing about the physiologic homeostasis. So what is this physiologic homeostasis? That is autonomic nervous system and the endocrine system primarily control homeostasis mechanism. So you should remember this: autonomic nervous system and the endocrine system. So, short term and long term stress can threaten the physiologic homeostasis and result in illness. So, there are two types of physiological homeostasis, that is local adaptation response and general adaptation syndrome. So, the local adaptation response, that is, you might be knowing, that is like a pain reflex response or an inflammatory response, that is local adaptive response. Next is general adaptation syndrome. So this is important, students. You should learn this. There are three stages of general adaptation syndrome. The first stage is alarm reaction stage. Second stage is resistance reaction stage, and the third is exhaustion reaction stage. So how the person is undergoing these all stages. First is alarm reaction stage. It is the body's initial reaction to a stressor. So the alarm reaction stage of the general adaptation syndrome prepares a person to respond to the stressor they are experiencing. This is often known as fight or flight. Either we should fight or we should run away from the situation, that is flight. How our endocrine system is maintaining this response. So whenever a stressor happens, what happens? It will stimulate the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus in turn stimulate the sympathetic nervous system. So SNS. Again, the sympathetic nervous system stimulates the adrenal medulla, and adrenal medulla releases catecholamine. So, this catecholamine is our stress hormone, or epinephrine, norepinephrine produces, and it leads to alarm reaction, fight or flight response. So, with this alarm reaction, what all changes will happen to our body? So heart rate, strength of cardiac muscle contraction increases. This circulate blood quickly to area, and blood vessels that supply to the skin, viscera, except heart and lung constrict. At the same time, blood supplying to skeletal muscle and brain dilates. Next is RBC production is increased, leading to an increase in the ability of blood to clot. Liver converts glycogen to glucose and release into the bloodstream, which provides energy to fight. The rate of breathing increases and respiration. And production of saliva and digestive enzymes decreases. Okay, that you should note, that decreases. Next is resistance stage. So that during the resistance stage, the body tries to counteract the physiological changes that happen during the alarm reaction stage. So whatever is happened in the alarm reaction stage, here it is the counteraction is happening. So the resistance stage is governed by a part of autonomic nervous system called the parasympathetic system, and the alarm stage was governed by sympathetic system. Here resistance stage is governed by parasympathetic system. So the parasympathetic branch of ANS tries to return the body to normal by reducing the amount of cortisol produced. The heart rate and blood pressure begin to return to normal. Next is exhaustion reaction stage. So this is the third stage. After an extended period of stress, the body goes into the final stage of general adaptation stage, that is known as the exhaustion stage. At this stage, the body has depleted its energy resources by continually trying but failing to recover from the initial alarm reaction stage. Once it reaches the exhaustion stage, a person's body is no longer equipped to fight stress. Now it is a relaxed state or exhausted. The person is out of energy to fight. So these are the three stages we have seen. So in this class, and these are the three stages of general adaptation syndrome. So in this class, we have seen the introduction about the definition about the stresses, and adaptation, and the homeostasis, the physiological homeostasis and the psychological homeostasis. So in the next session, we'll be dealing with the adaptation. So hope you understood this. Thank you for listening.